Hello, I'm Mass, and welcome to Bong Table. Today's battle report is going to be 100 Kingdoms versus Nords. I haven't changed up my list from the last time I played it, but my opponent, if you watch the last battle report, who is the same gentleman I played, has changed up his because he's trying to get good and find out what's good in Nords because he's just kind of like starting out in it, and he's been really trying to focus on what he can do to if he needs to like put more points towards characters, remove points from characters to get more units. So he's been trying a lot of revisions and such with his kind of base list. But before I get into that, I'm gonna just go over my list really quick. If you want, like, I guess a more deep dive, better explanation, you can go look at episode 6 versus Old D, where I kind of go into this more and like what I'm looking for and what I'm doing with the list. But this one's just kind of be a little more of just like, hey, this is what I'm kind of running and like little plans I'm doing, just because this will be the third time this list is shown on the channel. Something I do gotta say is that I do plan to build a couple more units because I have 2 boxes of everything in 100 Kingdoms, so I'm kind of like, quotes, faction complete, but I do need to build a bunch of it. So that's the Household Guard, Longbows, Mounted Squires. I think those are like the big 3 I still have to build, and then I just got like a million boxes of Household Knights just sitting around, like... I feel like every 100 Kingdoms player just accumulates boxes of Household Knights. Like, at some point I'll probably have to do a Household Knight list just to be like, look at them go, there's a million of them. But let's get on to the actual list. So, the Priest, the Mage, and the Imperial Officer. For people who are just coming in, this list is really designed around scenario play and kind of like doing a lot of shooting either through spells from the mages and maybe the Theist Priest, getting buffs from the priest, and then they have like Merc Crossbow and Militia Bowman to shoot, and this, it's kind of like to tickle and agitate your opponent so they come closer to you so that you can hit them with Steel Legion, or using the Dynastic Alliance ability from the Theist Priest Warlord to then get Divine Sanctions, what's Cleave +1, and Deadly Blades onto like everything with Devout. And basically everything that matters in this list has Devout. It's either given to them via an officer like the Neophyte in the Men-at-Arms, or it's provided from characters who have the Devout rule. And yeah, so let's go from the top here. Imperial Officer. He is my main warlord just because he's coming later on in a heavy so that he can be with them, and also because I put Armor Dominion on him, so no Cleave and Smite. And then Mantle of St. Nick is just, like, as I said earlier, like giving Devout out, so now his regiment gets Devout with that Mantle of St. Nicholas. His Supremacy ability is why I really take this character. Vanguard for all infantry models in 100 Kingdoms is amazing. Like, this is the guy you want. So if you're running a bunch of infantry, get an Imperial Officer, make him your warlord, get in Dynastic Alliance, get him as your warlord. Like, you will be printing money with this Supremacy ability. This is probably the best Supremacy ability 100 Kingdoms has currently. That might change in the future, though, as there's rumors going on that 2 months before Gen Con, a bunch of changes are going to be happening to version 2, like maybe a version 2.1 is going to come out, but we'll see what goes on when that happens. He's running Drill 1 and Drill 2. This is Bastion and Double Time. He's going to be sitting with a unit of Steel Legion when it has the Drill Master, so they already have Double Time, but it's not, like, it's free, so why don't I just take it anyway? And then Bastion is, +1 defense, like, it's just a little bit of that gravy on top. Disheartening Strikes is really there because I had 10 points left over, and I didn't know what to do. I do get in a duel with this character, actually, in this battle report, and I completely forget to use it, so, doing good there, remembering my rules. Attack 1 through 3, so Tactical 1, Indomitable, lets you reroll or resolve. Tactical 2 allows you to take another heirloom, and Tactical 3 allows you to flank. So I have 2 heavies in the list with the 2 Steel Legion units, a 6 brick and a 5 brick. And the Imperial Officer is going to be in that 6 brick, and I got that 5 brick. So this really allows me on turn 3 to just have both the Steel Legion units come onto the table and like threat project and get them out there, because I'm going to need them to do all the heavy lifting in the list. Like, you can only tickle so much with mercenary crossbows and militia bowmen, and then tie up stuff for so long with Men-at-Arms before you got to have something that actually can hit back and get into a fight and win. And that's what the Steel Legion are for. His 2 mainstays, like I guess I've already talked about his restricted with the Steel Legion, but his 2 mainstays are just 3 stands of 2 3 stands of mercenary crossbows, No standard bearer, just leader. They're just there to run around and shoot. Next thing I got is Theus Priest and Militia Bowman. They got, they're my Dynastic Alliance Warlord, and they're Arcane 1 through 3. So Arcane 1, boosting their priest level to 6. Arcane 2, reducing scaling by 2 for when you have big units and you gotta do scaling to get more successes to get the spell off on larger stuff. And then Arcane 3 turns 1 fail into a success. He's in a thing of Militia Bowman just because that's all he can sit in. Like, the Theus Priest warband, I kind of like, hopefully one day it gets expanded more, because right now it's very just like you take militia, and militia aren't that great for what the Theus Priest is doing. When I do play these games, I'm actually looking to seek new escort the Theus Priest into the unit of 5 Steel Legion at some point, just because like he'll live longer in there, his buffs will apply to that unit of Steel Legion. Because I only have Mantle of St. Nicholas once, so only one unit of Steel Legion is going to have Devout. So putting the Theus Priest character into that other unit of Steel Legion will give them Devout as well. That kind of ties into my second Priest and the combo he's doing. But yeah, you kind of want to get these Priest spells out. Like, once you start using them, and mostly, it's actually funny, like, I just start casting Blessed all the time with them. And that's either on, like, Militia Bowman to make them reroll their attacks, Steel Legion to make them either reroll their defensive rolls or their attacks, mainly their attacks. Or crossbows reroll their attacks. Like, just throwing Blessed out is such a good ability, and just like putting it on stuff is so helpful and so useful. Militia Bowman, they got a standard bearer. So the reason why I gave these guys a standard bearer and not the Merc crossbows is simply because these guys are escorting the Theus Priest, and I want the Theus Priest to be able to move around and get places that they need to get to, because they're mediums and lights, and I want those mediums to be scoring zones as soon as possible, and so I need to get the stand in the zone where the Theus Priest is in, and not just like the unit. So like, if I have a Theus Priest in the entire unit, and like the one stand of Militia Bowman is touching the zone, I'm actually not scoring it. I need to get the medium character stand in. Then we got the second Theus Priest. The change between the first two is, well, he's not the Dynastic Alliance Warlord, and he only has Arcane 1 through 2, but he does have Glimmer of Faith, and this is, I can target any Devout unit with any of his non-self range spells at any range and ignoring line of sight. So you can 360 spells off, like, wherever you want. And the reason why it's on the second Theus Priest and not the main Theus Priest is because when I want to use Spirit Shrines, the Supremacy ability of the Theus Priest, I am looking to get, like, his spell off, and when I deploy these units, I kind of want them like away from each other, supporting different areas of the table, up into the point where I want to activate that Supremacy ability and get those spells off. And so if they're not beside each other, I need a way to like get one priest to shoot his spell over into the Warlord Priest. And once again, Militia Bowman. Chapter Mages, I have 2 of them, and these are exactly the same. So the Chapter Mage and the Men-at-Arms. So Chapter Mage, School of Fire, basically I'm just like whipping out fire darts everywhere, and I'm Arcane 1 to get to that Wizard 6. And then I have my Men-at-Arms here, who are Devout from the Neophyte, so they can get those bonuses from Spirit Shrines, or if I'm casting spells on them. And then there's just 4 stats of them, and they have a standard bearer. And like, the reason why I got like Chapter Mages and Men-at-Arms is because I want a unit that could score, and that's the Men-at-Arms, and then I want something to be around that if it's in a zone and there's like, my opponent isn't coming into that zone, I still want that unit to like contribute. So that's moving around, still scoring that zone, and getting the Chapter Mage in kind of angles and positions to keep shooting off her fire darts at people. I'm just going to slow roll my rules here, so you can pause the video at any time if you want to like have a look for a rule that's more in depth, and then I'm going to go on to the Nords list. Okay, here's my opponent's Nords list. From the last video, my opponent basically cut all the heirlooms and artifacts and treasure troves, all the fancy stuff off a majority of his characters, and only took like the bare minimum he needed on each character to get a unit of stalkers in. And that actually changes up how he plays, because we've been talking about what you need to do to win, and one of the things you need to do to win is you need to get on scenario quickly. You can't let your opponent get a run away with the score. And the only time you kind of want them to run away with the score is if you're like setting up for something bigger that will punish them for later on. So a lot of people have been kind of changing their lists around and looking for ways to score and contest and kind of push and fight back off. So you're seeing a rise of like more mediums or medium characters in lights to get that scoring out there faster, because scoring starts on turn 2 now. But I'm gonna go into his list. His warlord is the Vulva. A lot of stuff on here has been cut, but she's got all her spells, like her Healy spell, her Bless spell, her Give Terror, her Give Decay, her Give Resolve spells. He has the gift of the Einjarl supremacy ability, so this basically just gives +1 evasion to everyone to a maximum of 2. He does use this on occasion, but I don't know if that's like a super great supremacy. Just because it tops out at 2. Like if it went to 3, like if you could get all like your bow chosen or like your stalkers to 3, that would be like kind of oppressive. But thank goodness that isn't the case, because my god, oh my god, bow chosen, you are so good. 220 points, like you're so good for what you're doing. We'll get to you. Don't worry, bow chosen, we'll get to you. For the Vulva, she has the figurehead of Negaflar, what is allows you to force your opponent to re-roll successful hits from range attacks into the unit. However, you got to be careful though, because it doesn't constitute a re-roll of a re-roll. So if I have a range unit that has Blessed on them and I roll my dice and I, let's say, get 4 out of 10 successes, well, I will then use Blessed to re-roll my failed hits, and then let's say I get another 6 successes. This does not trigger the figurehead to then make those 6 successes be re-rolled again, so that they come up as like non-hits. So like I'm looking for failures this time. You only get to re-roll once from an ability that says re-roll. Then we got Rune of Shielding. This is a master that basically just gives Bastion to specifically have a unit of Valkyries, so this will make their defense 2 plus shield, and Bastion, when the unit activates, go to defense 4. She has tactical 1. That's just to get that Indomitable. The Vulva and the Valkyries, oh, there's like 6 of them, and the very capable tanky unit. Like it's a very good anvil. They have Blessed. Like I'm gonna talk about Blessed a lot because it's such a fantastic rule. Devout, Shield, Support 2, Unstoppable, because they have a standard bearer. So he wants to activate this unit, get their Bastion, so their defense 4, kind of be a pain, and then he wants to use, I believe it's the Fruit of the Golden Tree is the ability where he just like heals them. So, you know, they're tanky, they're not going to be doing a ton of damage back. They are Clash 3 inspiring to 4, but they're not going to be doing that like cleave damage you would see, because they have no cleave or anything on them. They're not going to be breaking any like huge armor, but they are going to have a volume attacks with that support 2 and the size of the unit, so they are going to be doing a ton of attacks, and so stuff will leak in through that. But if you're going up against like defense 4 and defense 5, you're not going to be cutting down the defense at all. However, you're not designed to cut down the defense. You're designed to just sit there and be an anvil and just take the hits, and this is a very good unit to do that. Next, we got the Coningir. He's just aspect of the dragon. He's going to be sitting in a unit of Huskarls with a Skillet and a Thane. They got, you know, their shield and Bastion 1, so they're going to be going up to like defense 4. Honeyer's resolve is 4, plus the size unit of like 5 guys is going to get them to like resolve 5. So this is going to be super great on these guys. Thane gives them like +1 resolve, and Skillet gives them plus like Bastion, or it's the other way around. They have bravery, so after draw events but before activating, they'll get rid of the broken status. It's really nice, and I believe they're also ignore the fearsome and terrifying rules. Clash 3 on these guys, really good. Inspired to 4, it's always good. You got a Coningir who'll just like murder stuff. He's great. But let's get into you sweet bow chosen. Oh my god, the pains of my life dealing with you. How do I explain that this unit is really good? Like, they're 220 points, what is very pricey for 3 stands, but you will be getting so much work out of your bow chosen every turn as they're alive. They're speed 6, they're volley and clash 3. Like that's really good. Like you can inspire, you can take aim, you can go to 4. You can even like justify moving around and shooting if you need to. And also your barrage 5 at range 16. It's a bit of a shorter range than some other shooting units, but you are getting 5 attacks with this per stand, and then your precision shot is whenever you roll a 1, it ignores defense, and so you're just like doing damage. And I had one roll here where my opponent rolled like a bunch of shots, like 15 shots, or I think he might have been in effective range, so he's getting 6 per stand, and he had 3 stands still alive because I just couldn't get to him, and like damage wasn't being able to trickle into him. So he he rolled like his his like 18 attacks or his 19 attacks as leader, and he got like 6 sixes and then like 9 other hits and just like murdered a unit of merc crossbows, and it was like, oh boy, like this is great. They're also really capable defensively just because they each stand has 5 wounds, evasion 2, the resolve 3. Like they just stick around for way longer than they should for what they're doing. Like it's just, this unit is amazing. And my opponent's running 2 of them, so one of the things I tell a lot of people is if it's good, run 2. And if you can run more, run more. And my opponent's running 2 of them, and these guys are fantastic. Mountain Jotnar, he's a big beat stick. He'll just beat the stick. I've nothing bad to say about Mountain Jotnar. Like it's just a good heavy beater to come onto the table and just like there's your cleave 2, there's your terrifying 1, impact 6. Like he'll start cleaning up stuff near the late game for sure. He'll kill objectives because he's heavy, because he's getting 2 damage from his impacts and 2 damage from his regular attacks into objectives, so he can run around objectives. It's a very good giant, just for like, I would say like he's like the discount melee beater, and he really does that job. I have nothing bad to say about how solid he is. Okay, here's Blooded. This guy is going to be sitting in a unit of Stalkers. So he took Aspect of Crow and the Hunter's Instinct. Aspect of Crow gives you +2 to your barrage, so he goes up to barrage 5, range 16. He's got cleave 2 and impact, so if this guy ever gets into melee, like the Stalker unit, he's a little extra bit of damage. He'll start cleaving through stuff because he's class 3 base with 5 attacks. So like you got that. What's nice there? He's the same speed as the Stalkers. It's really good, and he's a medium and a light infantry, so he's going to be doing that scoring thing where you like run up the light super fast, and then like turn 2 you're looking to score with the medium character. Stalkers got movement 6. They're volley 3 with barrage 3, range 16, but they're also flank and vanguard, so they're going to be running up that table. He didn't take a banner with them, and that's fine because they're already going 18 inches, and at that point, like, they're going to be in the place they need to be. Oh look, evasion 2. Don't worry, this evasion 2 is super good, and maybe one too many things survive because of it. Yeah, Stalker's Blooded combo, really good, and allows your character to score. He's then got Uger and the Fenris Beast back. So, Uger, cleave 2. This is a very much a hammer unit. These guys never want to be charged because they will automatically explode because they have like no defense, no evasion, resolve 3, defense 2. Like they're not going to survive. They're also 5 wounds each. Like they're just going to die. Oblivious is nice to kind of keep them around, but just pure damage coming in will kill them and like override. You're just going to be taking like too many resolves for Oblivious to care. Fenris Beast back. This is probably the best scoring unit in all of Nords. It's 110 points. It's a medium, and it's movement 7, so it can get onto objectives quickly, and it can run around into the back line and maybe harass some lighter stuff like some crossbows or militia bowmen or anything like that. But really, a lot of Nords players have been doing with this unit is just sitting on objectives to score points, and they're really good at that. Only downside is it is a restricted, and that's probably just so that you don't run a bunch of these, because just so good on objectives, and for 110 points, like they needed to balance it out somehow, because I would take probably like, if I had to take a mainstay option and I was looking to score, well, I take a Fenris Beast back, and then I take my restricted option, then I take another Fenris Beast back, and then I take my restricted option. So like that's probably why they're restricted. So like Nords just don't have an easy scoring unit, and they actually kind of have to like army build around it. Let's go through the rules. If you know, once again, just pause if you want to read something in particular. I'm just going to slow roll them for you, and then we'll get on to the scenario. Let's go have a look at scenario. Okay, here's our scenario. We're playing melee today, and we're doing a regular deployment, so just across from us on like the 6-foot side and only 4-foot wide. We got this 12-inch zone over here, 12-inch zone over here, and the two little sixers. This one is very central focused, but also very long. So you're going to be spreading yourself thin, and you're going to be doing all your fighting in this 2 feet right here. I don't mind this at all if you're looking to get into a brawl and fight. So this is really going to benefit killing factions once again. Like, I guess all scenarios benefit killing actions, but these objective zones being so close to that 24-inch line or on the 24-inch line really incentivizes getting into that middle and start scoring, because like your opponent being here and you being here, like you're scoring across from each other, you're only like a foot apart, so you can get to each other pretty quickly. And also the scenario is set up to kill your opponent's characters, warlords, and regiments for points, so it is a melee and they want you to get in there, so they put all the scenario elements in the middle. Let's go over those points. So 2 points each for each 6-inch zone, 3 points for each 12-inch zone, and then you get an additional 2 if you're seizing 2 or more objectives. So what usually kind of happens is that one player will be scoring their like 6-inch and their 12, and the other player will be scoring, you know, their 6-inch and their 12. So you kind of like balancing yourselves with like 7 points there because of how that works. And then you're going for those 2 points for the warlord, 2 points for characters, and 2 points for enemy regiments. The funny thing is when you kill the regiment that has the warlord, you're actually scoring 6 points for all that. Like, you're getting 2 for the regiment, you're getting 2 for killing an enemy character, and you're getting 2 for killing the warlord. So that's a good regiment to find on the table and kill for like that 6-point spike. You'll kind of see how that goes. Like, I'll give you a little hint. Through this game, both myself and my opponent do lose our warlords, so there is at a point like a 6-point spike, but we do kind of lose it like different ways. It's kind of funny, so I'll go more into that as the game goes on. Let's go have a look at the table. This is the table I'm playing on today, just to mark out where the scenario stuff is. There's that one, that one, that one, that one. So there's the 2 12s and the 2 6s. As you can see, a lot of the terrain is very central. So we're kind of setting up this table. This is like an after hours game with myself and my opponent. And we're just like, well, we need to put stuff places. And we kind of just like shoved all the terrain in the middle just to like be relevant. Like, there's parts where we're like kind of getting stuck on it. We're going around it. We're using the forests. Like the forests here, all 3 of them are obscuring. So they just, if you're like drawing line of sight through them, or you're in them, or you're shooting through them, you get half shots, so that gets used a bunch. One of the things I do gotta say, I'm just gonna mark it with blue, is that this right here, you can actually hide a regiment behind it from this garrison, just because like you can't see through it and no one can like shoot you. But if you know you're peeking out like a little bit, or like if you're peeking out there, you're peeking out there, you're gonna get like shot. So there is a little bit of that, like using the train in the zone for your advantage to like try and hide and not be shot at from a better position. I guess I'll go over more of the terrain. So what we got here is size 3 building, size 3 building, size 3 rock, size 2 forest was obstructions, or not obstructions, obscuring, as I said before. And then we got garrison, which is like size 2, and it's I believe garrison 4, so it like takes 4 stands. This does become like a massive brawl in the middle just because of how the train's set up and the scenario we're playing. And there are times, I think it was like turn 5, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna pull through. Like, oh my god, because this gets very violent and very brutal very quickly in the game that is played. So I hope you're really excited for that one, because we're gonna be going on to turn 1. Here's the end of turn 1, and I auto in my Merc crossbows and I roll my dice, and I only get 1 out of my 3 successes for my 4 other lights, so I just opt to take my other Merc crossbows. I didn't take my characters yet simply because my opponent autoed in his blooded, no, didn't auto in the blooded stalkers, he autoed in the bow chosen over there. Just gonna change the color to blue. There we go. Help you out. And then he autoed in the or not, but he rolled in, well yeah, actually he did auto in that because they had flank. So he autoed in the Stalkers and Blooded, the other bow chosen, and then get the other one. So I didn't really want to lose my characters right away, just because I felt that, especially with this unit of Stalkers like running 18, like they're really gonna threat project. Like militia bowmen don't live. Like if you want them to live, you need to not be attacked by anything. But they're so garbagey that you're usually sending them out to die. And that's one of like my, I guess, my gripes with, as I've been playing this list and the Theus Priest, is like the Theus Priest doesn't have a unit to just safely sit in yet. He's looking for that Seek New Escort to find a better unit to sit in, where he's not going to just be like belched by something if like your opponent gets like a good roll on a decent unit to just like rip that unit apart, or if something like really heavy goes into the militia with the Theus Priest is still in it and just kills them all. I did that. I probably could have opted for my Theus Priest and like moved away. I believe he won the roll off. I don't think I won any roll off this game. So like I could have threw some Theus Priest over here and, you know, start going for that side, but like I believe he was just gonna counterplay me anyway because he has range superiority. Like these freaking Bochos, oh my god. Like MVPs the game. Those two units of Bochos just did so much crap to me through the entire game, and you're gonna see some devastating stuff what happens to myself and these poor our crossbows, militia bowmen, men-at-arms, steel legion. Like they don't care. They were just like, yeah, bring out the M14 bow machine gun and just start like knocking all these dudes down. My opponent's looking to score early over in the right zone. My opponent is threatening this zone, this throne, and my stuff over here. I'm trying to be cheeky because I can draw a line right here to shoot his stalkers. And these guys right here are basically just supporting the middle until I found out what else is going to be going on. With that, end of turn 1, going on to turn 2. As you can see from turn 2, we are really getting at it fast. So I get both my chapter mages and men-at-arms on the table. I get both my Theus Priest and militia bowmen on the table, and then with turn 3 I'm going to auto in both my Steel Legion. So my entire list is going to be on the table next turn. As for my opponent, he gets all his mediums except for his Ogre back here, and then, you know, he's waiting for his Mountain Giant to auto come in next turn, so that's fine there. So we kind of start with the shooting. My men-at-arm unit over here shoots this unit of stalkers and does like 6 damage. And then his unit of bow chosen shoot my merc crossbows right here and basically wipe them out. Like there's one stand left. That's not super great. As you can see, I do shoot back and deal like 1 damage because yay. But we're not doing so great. My Theus Priest and his militia bowman, you know, just run up here to be within 3 inches of the zone because I just want to be as far back as possible. I don't need to die right away. He then starts bringing on stuff. So things he brings on, his other unit of bow chosen, because I bring on my men-at-arms at one point, and I'm looking to get this shot from the chapter mage into this unit of stalkers to deal some fire dart damage. Throughout the game, my chapter mages do not do a great job rolling their spell dice. Like I get a lot of just like 2 successes, the bare minimum to get a spell off, or like just straight failures. And it's kind of frustrating. Like I'm paying 90 points for this like wizard, and I guess she's not like pulling her weight. Come on, I need like where's the good dice rolls? I usually get all my bless off because when you cast a priest spell into a devout unit, you can like I believe it's either count as an auto success or you can re-roll a failed dice, so you can get stuff off easier. But the chapter mages just did not. Like I had some serious dice problems at the start of this game, and I'm not going to blame dice for everything because I do make tactical choices and ideas like how to pan out and stuff, and like do the best of my abilities to mitigate risk and everything. But when you're just like roll 6 dice and you're only getting 2 successes, or you're only getting 1 success and the spell fails, it's, you know, it kind of gets frustrating because you're just like, ugh. However, this mage I believe does some more damage. Nothing too crazy though. I think I get like 3 shots, and he like saves 2 and takes 1 and then saves the resolve. So like there's a bit of damage. I think the stand back here might be at 2 health, so like it's going down. But next turn, you know, I'm really looking to like get this men-at-arm unit into the zone, start scoring it, start contesting it. My opponent has his bow chosen over here. I wonder what they're going to do. Probably shoot the men-at-arms. Like, it's going to be fantastic. This unit of men-at-arms and chapter mages is over here. They're just going to run forward, get into a fight. Like, I'm hopefully trying to like tie up his bow chosen, but he's got his Valkyrie brick with the Volba coming up the table right here. I'm gonna say something. I think this is kind of a misplay. So I think he should have deployed it over here and just either A, moved up his bow chosen so that he can get this medium onto this objective right here, or move the bow chosen over, or like get them out of the way, or maybe not have deployed them right away. Like maybe he should have deployed them over here and spread out his threat, because you should be looking to deploy your mediums onto zones and start scoring. And he never scores that zone. Well, sorry, he does score it once, but that's like way later in the game. But he had a very easy opportunity to score, and he doesn't, because he puts this Valkyrie unit over on this side, never in that zone, and so I never have to worry about him scoring. And that might have been that change up right there might have been really game defining. And this game does get close, and this might have been the moment. On the left here, I just simply, run up some Militia Bowmen and my Thea's Priest. I'm looking to get into the zone right here, but my opponent heavy counter deploys, like Fenrir's Hounds, Huskarls, and his Conning Gear. He's really pushing me back. His shooting is better. He has more quality shooting. I have quantity and he has quality. But because of the obstructions and all some of the line of sight blocking terrain and the paths we gotta take, just because of how terrain dense the middle of this table is, where all the fighting is gonna be happening, you don't get your full shots, you don't get all the fancy stuff you're doing. You're trying to deal with terrain and looking at stuff and getting over people. This just becomes a big brawl in the middle. Let's go have a look at turn 3 to just show you how brawly it actually gets. Okay, here's turn 3. Things that come on. I want both my Steel Legion units are on the table, there and there. And then his Ogres come on over back there, and his Mountain Yonard come on. So things I want to do. So I want to kill these Stalkers and blood it over here. So my Chapter Mage, I believe, shoots at them and does no hits. I just failed the roll, nothing goes off, and it was okay, great. So I run up the table with the men-at-arms because I want to get in that zone. So now I'm going to be scoring the zone because I just got more stuff in it than he does. His bow chosen shoot into the men-at-arms. I believe they deal a stand of wounds, but they're there in effective range, ready to shoot. The Stalkers, I believe I want to say they might have shot into the garrison. I'm not exactly 100% sure what where they did there, but I think they shot into the garrison. I know these bow chosen in the middle here, they just shot into the other unit of mercenary crossbows, killing them, so he got 2 points there. And oh yeah, last turn my opponent scores 3 and I scored 2, just because of I got 3 from the 12er, I got 2 from the 6er. But anyway, back to these bow chosen. They shoot into the merc crossbows, killing them. I, on the other hand, run up my men-at-arms and Chapter Mage, because I don't want I don't want shots into the Warlord Thea's Priest just yet, because I want to try and seek new escort him into this unit of Steel Legion. And I'm just trying to find ways that I can do that, and I kind of gum up myself a little bit. I can't extend the rank here to get him in, because he's going to be sitting on these Militia Bowmen. But I actually thinking about it now, he would move, Militia Bowmen would close in to each other, and then he would take that spot and be able to do it. But then my other problem is now I got to somehow finagle my way into here into this mess in the woods. A lot of bless go off with my Thea's Priest. They're just casting bless either on their Militia Bowman unit, or they're casting bless on men-at-arms, they're casting bless on Steel Legion. They're just trying to get those spells out there to help and support. My opponent, who was back here with his Valkyries, moves up and charges just to get into melee with my men-at-arms, and then at one point my chapter mage goes and just like shoots a fireball in there, and once again just whiffs the roll and I get nothing. So it's like great. I think these merc crossbows actually can't see. They might be able to see these stalkers. I'm not 100% sure, but you know, they either shoot the bow chosen or the stalkers. Like a bit of damage does get into the bow chosen, and it might have been from these merc crossbows. And right now I'm not in a very advantaged position. Like I guess I'm like too spread thin. Like I haven't picked this. Like I should have picked probably 2 of these lanes. It's gonna get green. Like that or that or that. Like I should have picked 2 of them, and that's where I should have focused and just let my opponent have the other one. But I kind of want to bait. Like if I just left the other Theist Priest over here, this guy, just to be there, and then let's say his regiment reformed and he like ran this way while the unit of Steel Legion didn't deploy here but instead deployed over here and went up the table, that might have been better for me, because now he has this unit of Beast or Fenris Beast Pack. There's only 2 stands. Like I just blessed my Theist Priest and all the militia bowmen shot into them, killing one. They could have scored that, but his next problem is that he has to run this Huskarl unit like so far over to be relevant again, and that'll give me time to like push other things away and back and double support. Yeah. But the reason why and like that's kind of like thinking in retrospect of like what I could have done and seeing the table space. One of the things I got a comment about Conquest is that when you're playing the game, and because it's like you go, I go, and things aren't on the table yet to see like where their final positioning is, so it gives you a little bit of that counter deployment you can use to shore up sides. It's kind of hard to make, I guess, those like grander strategies of deployment and where you want stuff to go. Just because of that, and I probably could have got away with it because I have more cards than my opponent, and my opponent deployed his Ogre and Mounter Giant back here to shore up these sides so he could win those fights while he just duked it out in the middle. And I think one of his plans was to kill everything on the sides and then just kind of like, you know, close into the middle like I did to him the previous time. Scoring, I do score the right zone for 3. I score the little 6-incher for another 2, and then I get 2 from that, so it's 5, and he only gets 3 for this 12-inch zone. The lines are kind of now drawn, and we're looking to get into fights and clash, and it's gonna be a meat grinder. Okay, let's go see turn 4 and really show off that meat grinder. Welcome to turn 4 and welcome to the meat grinder. So, start of this turn, I declare it's going to be my Spirit Sanctioned Supremacy, but I don't like activate the Theist piece right away to give like Deadly Blade and Cleave to everything or Bless to everything right away. And that's mainly because I need to do other things first because we're so close and we're just getting in there and fighting each other. So I'm going to start on the right side and work my way to the left of what, like, kind of the back and forth and what was going on. So, Chapter Mage and Men-at-Arms. Chapter Mage finally gets a successful spell off, shoots into the Stalkers, obliterates them. Bow Chosen, on the other hand, they activate and they go pop, 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 pop. And when I was talking about list building and how good the Bow Chosen are, this is the roll he does, what is 6 piercing shots and then 9 additional hits, and it just like kills the unit to the man. So they just go, and it's like, yay, shooting good. And it's really sad and just like, I felt really bad. My Merc crossbows in this garrison, they go and shoot at this Bow Chosen. His Bow Chosen over here. Before the Steel Legion can move, they shoot at my Steel Legion. My Steel Legion on here. So I believe his Volvas fight, like the Volvas and Velks fight, and they like do a ton of damage to the Men-at-Arms. I believe this wizard actually like shot into them, and then the Volva went and like healed it, and I was like, ugh. And then I got, you know, like the Men-at-Arms who are just like, I'm gonna do piddly squat with my 5 attacks into them. So it's not doing very well. So my Theist Priest in the middle, he does cast, I want to say like Blessed on himself and like goes out to the rest of them, but like the people who had Devout are kind of gone except for the Imperial Officer over here and it's just like so you know it gets out to everyone. But I don't really need the deadly blades and cleave, but it's just like, oh, go away. What are they doing? This militia bowman, before the Steel Legion get in there, they just shoot their range attacks into Velks, do a couple damage, reroll. Like, Velks are actually being like really tanky and surviving a lot right now. However, as you can see, that did change. Because then my Steel Legion get a charge in, clash, rip them all. They're broken right now, and I believe when the Volva, oh no, the Volva didn't heal because they were broken, and so the Volva then spends her action to unbreak them for next turn. On the left here, he runs his Fenris Beast Pack, just like move charge, just to be in the Militia Bowman. And so I have my Militia Bowman go, and with the Theus Priest in their clash, and with the Bless, they actually do it, and they do the 8 damage with Resolve to kill off the Beast Pack. My opponent, with his Huskarls and everything, he didn't move forward because he's in an advantage position because he has the Uger who moved up here, who are now dead. So that he can like still get his Huskarls into my Steel Legion. Like that's the fight he wants, and I don't really want to be hit by these guys. So I do know the Ugers are coming, and I do want to get into the zone because like we're killing stuff, we're going back and forth. Like I'm looking to score points for killing stuff. I'm looking to score points for getting into the zones. And I've lost the right side over here completely, and he has that mountain giant in there, like he just ran to score. So like I know I need to start making some more riskier decisions to stay up and try and like hold this game out to turn 10, because that's what my goal is now. Like I just need to keep scoring, I need to keep holding, and I need to keep everything running until the last turn to see if I can like eke out a victory. But he's just been putting so much pressure on me. Chosen have been living for so long and doing so well, like just losing things that are of higher weight class to them, or like just taking like their ridiculous shots. Like, oh, it's been like super frustrating this entire game. So I do make that risk where my Steel Legion need to roll a 5 up to get into the Uger right here, and I got to re-roll, and I'm like, well, if I fail it, I'm gonna break both the Steel Legion and the Militia Bowman. But I do it anyway because I'm feeling I'm on the back foot and I need to get there. So I go for it. I rolled like a 3, and then I rolled a 6, and I get in. I clash, kill all the Uger, and that's where I'm sitting there. So I'm scoring this zone. I'm scoring the middle zone again. So I'm getting those 7 points. I've killed 2 things. My opponent's only killed the mage and the character over here, or sorry, the mage and the men-at-arms. Oh, and I've also killed his blooded stalker. So like I'm going up kill points, but he's still in a good spot to win this. Like he's still in a good spot to kill all my stuff. He's still in a good spot to get onto objectives. And like this is kind of the turn where it starts changing around, and I gotta kind of watch out for that. So let's have a look at turn 5. Here's turn 5, and it's doing really well for me. So, and I kind of mean that sarcastically. Like, I'm still getting, like, the shit kicked out of me. So, he activates his Huskarls, and he charges my Steel Legion, doing a ton of damage. I actually wanted to try and win this roll-off, and I've been just losing every single roll-off as we've been going on. And I actually activate my Militia Bowman next to just shoot into the Huskarls, because the initial idea was that I wanted them to just run past everything and just get hit by the Huskarls, so that I could then reform clash with the Steel Legion. Instead, you know, they get hit, Steel Legion then activate, combat reform, do a bunch of damage, and then the Conning Gear over here, just change the color up so you can see a little better. There we go, Conning Gear. Because the Steel Legion is broken before they can they activate, the Conning Gear just duels my character and kills them. Over on the right side though, the Valkyries go in and they do actually a bunch of damage because they're unbroken into the Steel Legion, and then the Chosen shoot the Steel Legion, and I'm down to just 2 wounds on that unit and it's broken. So that really sucked. So they, you know, they activate, I do some damage into the Velks. I do some damage into the Velks from the Chapter Mage. I do some damage into the Velks from the Men-at-Arms. Like the Militia Bowman shoot into the Velks. Like I'm just trying to put in that last little bit of damage, but he either like heals up and I do some more damage, or he just uses his bless effectively to just like keep it all off, and like I don't kill them, and it's a little frustrating because like I believe this chapter mage once again whiffs her attack rolls. Like she only gets 2 successes out of 6, and it's just like, oh come on. Merc crossbows actually can't see the Valkyries because they're on the other side of this wood, so they decide to just shoot these bow chosen, because I need to start whittling these bow chosen down. You can see on the right here, these bow chosen are starting to swing around and they're looking to shoot and get into these merc crossbows. They don't get to them this turn, but they will next turn just because he was out of range. And the mountain giant is spinning around to score that zone, but also, you know, if it's needed, he can start running this way and start killing stuff. For scoring, my opponent actually scores a ton right here. Gets the 12-inch on that side, 12-inch on that side, and I only get this 3 in the middle here. We don't kill anything. I don't think anything dies. It's just like wounds are taken. So he's going to be getting 8 points from those 2 12ers. I only get my 2 from the one in the middle. With that, let's go to turn 6. Here's turn 6, and as you can see, I barely have a lot left, and so does my opponent. I immediately go into the Steel Legion, and I immediately stab. No, I didn't stab that unit. I believe he once again wins the roll off, and I think he gets the Valkyries to activate first, and he just kills the chapter mage and the men at arms, so he gets his 4 points there. I then activate my Steel Legion, and I probably should have gone for this unit over here first, but I'm worried that his next card is going to be the Bow Chosen, who are just going to shoot the Steel Legion and kill them. So I just charge into the Velks in like the side. I don't think I needed to because I was already in combat. Like we should have just like moved over, but you know, things get bumped, table like malls get moved. It's fine. Stuff happens like that. And I kill the Valkyries, getting my 6 points for the regiment, the character, and the warlord. My opponent on the other side, though, he then activates his Huskarls and his Conning Gear, does a bunch of attacks into Steel Legion, and as you can see, there's like one guy left. He then activates, and he does a bunch of damage into the Huskarls, and I think he actually breaks them, but they're not shattered. And then my opponent gets his bow chosen. I believe he picks this one, and you can see them right here. They moved up, and they shot a bunch of shots into the 7 wound left Merc crossbow in the garrison, killing them and freeing that up. His mountain Jotnar, you know, still standing there. This bow chosen in the middle, he didn't want to, like, he couldn't draw line of sight to me, like that's his line. So instead he opts to shoot at my Theist Priest and my Militia Bowman, and then my Theist Priest and Militia Bowman receive buff or blessed, and well, buff. get worried up, boys, and just shoot back at the bow chosen. Like this is just a gunfight, and now I'm losing it, and he's still really good there. My only saving grace is hopefully to win the roll off. I don't believe I win the roll off. I don't think I ever win the roll off this entire game, and to just spin the Steel Legion around and get into those bow chosen. My last Theist Priest and his bow chosen once again gets blessed, shoots into the side of the Huskarls. They're in that effective range. They're taking you to 2s, and they're re-rolling their attacks. Like, I'm getting that damage in, and I hopefully should kill off this Conning Gear and Huskarls very shortly. Like, they only got 2 wounds left on that one stand. That's the end of turn 6. This unit on the left here is broken at this point, so I do score this zone, and then I do score this zone, so there's 7 points, you know, keeping it up, and my opponent only scores this one over here. And you know, he killed the character, the men at arms, and the chapter mage, so he got points there, but I killed his like warlord and Valkyries. Let's go have a look at turn 7. Turn 7 here, and my opponent activates the Huskarls first on the left, immediately rallies because they have bravery, and then kills my Steel Legion. My Steel Legion then get drawn, and I reform 180 and charge into the bow chosen. And then his bow chosen go, and they fight this Steel Legion, who miraculously survives. Like, I think I took 3 hits, and then I just lived. I was like, oh, sweet, thank God. So that's a fight still going on right there. I would have scored this objective. No, there was 1 stand each, so I wouldn't have scored this objective, but my opponent does decide to bring his mountain Jotnar in across to get over here to start like patty caking his way across, because I'm actually up on points at this moment, and he needs to start killing all my stuff to prevent me from scoring, because he knows that I'm going to try and get this Theus Priest on the left here into this zone, because this Theus Priest, you know, bless this unit, they shoot, kill the Congear and Huskarls. And yeah, maybe like, so the reason why I opted to shoot was because I wanted more attacks. Like they're volley 1. Like I need volume, so I just opted to shoot at effective range to kill them off. And you know, next turn I'm gonna get into that zone and score it. I'm already scoring this zone over here. Bow Chosen just move up. They're looking to get into this garrison to then like shoot at these Theus Priest and Militia Bowmen. For those guys, Theus Priest just cast Bless, because that's, you're a Bless bot now. And they shoot some shots into these Bow Chosen. I'm not exactly sure how much health these guys are left with, but not very much. So we really got the dregs of the army going on here, and it's very close, but I am actually up on score just by how much I've killed, how much scoring I've done, how much contesting I've been doing, and I've been kind of dragging this game out to go for that long turn 10 game. This is the end of turn 7. I believe we're going to go on to turn, or is this turn 8? I don't know. I'll have a thing at the top here, and when I check the next photo, it'll tell me what turn it is. So let's go have a look at that turn. This is turn 8. Things that go on. I believe I lose the die roll, Bow Chosen, kill the Steel Legion, and then my Theus Priest bows bless this unit. His Bow Chosen then go get into this garrison. Because they move into it, they lose like any of the rest of their actions, so they're just there. And then my Militia Bowmen do it. They finally shoot, and I believe he had 1 wound left, and they finally kill the last Bow Chosen. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Over here on the right, I do have to put a caveat. I do get this rule wrong, what is the reform rule, because how you spin your base is defined by how your movement is. And so I marched up into the zone, and then I wanted to, like, you know, reform. And what I should have done, instead of reforming the long ways like it is, I should have reformed like halfway, so the character would be here, and then the rest of the unit would have been like out here, but I would still be scoring at that point. Little of a mess up right there. Like, reform doesn't allow you to just like spin at any point, do anything. It's defined by the center, and that's just like a mistake on my part. So, you know, just watch out for reforms and just reread the rules. There's some things you don't like deal with very often, and that's one of them, because you are just pushing like squares and rectangles up a table. So you're not really like twisting that much, and when you do, it's usually when they're like charging and stuff, and that's kind of like, you know, you get your free wheels to do it. That's like a little bit there. That doesn't really change up much of the game. It actually would have been, it actually puts me probably in a worse spot, because as you can see, this mountain giant just like ran forward, and he wheels a bit here because he doesn't want to hit this house, so he's looking to like, you know, get here and then in. For scoring, he comes off this zone, so he's not scoring any of this, but I'm still scoring this bottom zone. Been doing great for me this entire game. And I am scoring this 12 in the back for those 7 points. So now I'm starting to get away. My opponent's starting to look for like what he needs to do to win, because I believe I'm at like 50 something points and he's at like 45. So yeah, let's go look at turn 9 to see how well that goes. Here's turn 9, and as you can see, I might have lost something. Might have been the this Theus Priest right here and his Militia Bowman. So he makes his Bow Chosen go first. He once again wins the roll off. God damn. Losing the roll off every single turn is a little bit demoralizing, just because like no matter what plan or thing you want to do first, you're just like never getting it, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna take a hit somewhere. I'm always gonna take a hit, and when you get those lines clashing, it just sucks. And so it's just another example. He just shoots from the garrison into the militia, killing them. There's like 2 wounds left. He easily does it, and they're dead. He gets his 4 points for that. I believe it's a Dynastic Alliance Warlord, so he'll actually get 6 for that as well, because of currently how scenario works. So I'm gonna add the points, because the point scoring does get very close, but I think even if he still gets that, like, I still eke out a victory here. We'll find out when I count it all up at the end. You'll see it in like the top right. Should I draw on here? Like somewhere around here. Oh, there it goes. It's off the page. You'll see the scoring somewhere over there. And yeah, what can I say about it? Like, so I'll talk about a little bit of editing. I should just keep going with this battle report, but a little bit in the editing side. I counted the points at like picture by picture after, and that's how you get the scoring in the top there. And then whatever scoring is in the game is mostly what we counted in the game. So that's, if you ever see a change, that's why. So back to the game here. Bo doesn't shoot. He then opts to get out of the garrison. This is where we actually get the rules wrong again. I had to look at these last night. You need to take 2 march actions to get out of a garrison. So he already spent 1 action to shoot, so he couldn't actually have left the garrison at this point, but it's near the end of the game, and they're not going to get to anything anywhere else, so it doesn't matter. I then opt to have my militia bowman for my second unit just back up 5 inches just to stay out of charge range of the mountain giant so that he can't move, charge, get in the zone. He has to do his double march, and he can't get in at that point. What I was originally planning to do was actually have the militia bowman with the warlord Theus priest to actually move over out of range of the bow chosen just to deny points at that point. Like, I might have got charged anyway by the mountain Jotnar who was positioned here into them, but I didn't want to like give him 2 freebies kind of thing. Then lastly, my Theus priest over here just shoots some holy fire. I think he does like 2 damage, and that's it. And I once again score this zone, like just keeping up on those points. Let's go have a look at the last round of the game and see how I'm doing. Here's the last round of the game, and I'm gone. I don't live anymore. We have the roll off to go first. Mountain Jotnar wins. Mountain Jotnar explains to me why he's a Mountain Jotnar and charges right in and kills all the militia bowmen. I do get a fight back, and I don't think I really do any damage. He like saves it all, but so so that's it. So he will score the points for killing that unit, and then he scores the points for the zone. Then we just take our photos and call it there. So I do get a heroic victory out of this just because I've been scoring points, and I will show you the points shortly. But I do think it was a really close and good game. Here's the points. My opponent is sitting at 52, and I am sitting at 57. Like, that's how close that game was. A lot of back and forth, a lot of dice were rolled, a lot of positioning was made. Like, I think my opponent, like what I mentioned earlier with the Valkyries not being in that zone, like, if he was in that zone, I think he could have won. Like, he could have won with having those Valkyries early on in that zone. There is so much happening in this game. Like, chapter mages not making successful fire dart rolls, bow chosen just going to town, like unloading shots. Like, it took me forever to get those bow chosen, and the longer those guys are on the table, like, you can just see the amount of damage they're doing and just wiping stuff out and the support they're doing, and they're so effective at it. Like, it's crazy. They are 220 points though, but it's just like you're getting so much out of those 220 points, like a crazy amount. Mountain Jotnar coming in as a cleanup or like a scoring piece. What he did with the Huskarl breaking my unit and then dueling my Imperial officer to get rid of him, like, good choice. Like, I felt very on the back foot this game just because of the bow chosen and just because my opponent brought the blooded with stalkers, even though I killed them off early on to get rid of them because I didn't want him to be scoring that zone, and I knew that was a thing that had to die. Like, his just consistent shooting and then just getting me into like tar pit fights with the Valkyries, with the Huskarls, just kind of like pinned me down. And the terrain, there's a ton of terrain in the middle of that table, so we're working around it, as you saw, trying to find angles and shots, not being obstructed, or just taking the obstructed hits. Like, it was a, like, I'm not gonna say it's a rough matchup, but it, like, as you can see from the score, it was a close matchup. Like, man, we were duking it out for quite a while, and it was also fast. How fast we got in there to be duking it out. If I was to do this game again, I would be looking to pick, I do say like 2 of those 3 lanes, so like either the 12-inch zone or the 12-inch zone, the 2 6s in the middle, and the other 12. Like, I'd pick 2 of those 3 and like focus my entire army on those 2 out of 3 and then swing from there. This does give up like an early points to my opponent if they just, like, on the left there ran his Fenris Beast Pack into that zone to score it. But I do have my entire list to start projecting that threat and doing the layering to actually potentially win fights. Sometimes it's tough. Like I I I really like how Conquest does its like reinforcements and deployments of unit. Just to have like that counter deployment, not knowing where your opponent's gonna put stuff. Like you gotta think about it and like where are people coming from? Where are they going? What are they looking for? Um, Huge props for my opponent. I really like the list he did. He cut out a lot of his character support to get that unit of stalkers in so the blood could sit on them. And I think this list is really good. Um, it does focus on scenario and it focuses to like stay on scenario for as long as possible. And he does have the tools to kill things and win with the bow chosen, with the Ugers, with the mountain Jotnar. Like those are really good hammers for his anvils of Huskarls, Valkyries, um, even like the bow chosen act as like a tar pit, just because if you're not putting an overwhelming amount of attacks into the bow chosen to override their evasion and do enough damage because they're all 5 wounds, like they're just gonna clash back at clash 3 and just like beat you to death with their fists. It's so rough sometimes. Like God, I am liking my list. The chapter mages like failing me like really sucked and kind of made me like a Debbie Downer about them. I don't I don't know if I want to continue running them. That's the thing. Like, do I want to retool the list? Like, putting blessed on everything and mostly range attacks is kind of what's carrying me right now with the list, and I know that's going to be changing in the next couple months just because of the rumors coming down. So I don't know if I want to like change the list now and find something, or wait until those changes do come out and do like retool lists or build a new one. Like maybe cavalry will get a buff and I'll like start bringing horses back onto the table. Who knows? I plan to, let's see here. What do I plan? What are my plans? What do you think my plans are? Um My plans, I'm thinking of deep diving into, I want to say like a noble lord warband, like not the mounted noble lord, like the foot guy, because I've been looking at household guard, I'm looking at longbows, and I'm thinking of like playing those guys next. And maybe like I'm really liking the thieves priest, I'm really liking the imperial officer and the steel legion. Like, so maybe like steel legion, household guard, longbows, maybe squeeze in like a thieves priest in there to get blessed out, because that's just, it's so good. Oh my god, just like dishing out bless is so good. Like start looking at that stuff. Once order like Ash and Dawn come out, like I'm gonna put some Ash and Dawn some lists. Just wait for those big chunky boys. Yeah. Overall, like really good game, really close. Really good play from my opponent. I like what he's doing, and he's been putting in a ton of games this last week into a variety of different opponents, mostly 100 Kingdoms because we got like 50 of them in our meta. But he's doing a good job. Like you can just by looking at like the first battle report to I think the round 3 one. I think that was like episode 5. Yeah, episode 5 to last one, then this one. Like you can see such a growth from him over like probably the last month and a half. And, with that, I want to thank everyone for watching and really enjoying these. I have a good time making them, talking about tactics and strategy, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, potentially what my opponent is thinking. There might be a bit of a lull for a little bit, just because due to my schedule and how I work, I'm not home to record or play games, and then I'm home to play games and everything. And so, like, in between those times, like, I do what I can. So, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.